Hello everybody, I would just like to thank you for the support that has been given to me. I was thinking about doing some videos about ships in the already known classes that I have reviewed. For example, Zuikaku, Enterprise, maybe one of the Essexes. And I was planning to do these videos every other day, with the newer ships every fourth day. And if I have any questions regarding ships, I could do a Q&A soon. So let's get on with the video. After the beginning of conversions from C3s to Bulk class, the United States Navy decided to also convert 4 T3 tankers into what is known as the Sangamon class. Their sheer size meant that they could operate larger aircraft compared to other escort carriers. About as many could be carried as the light carriers Independence. Because of the hull shape and flight deck dimensions, flight operations were made easier compared to other ships of this type. Originally, they were planned without an island, a small one was later added on the starboard side. These were the only escort carriers that operated dive bombers. All were named after rivers. Names were Sangamon, Suwannee, Santee, and Shenango. All started conversion and were recommissioned in 1942. Sangamon began conversion in February 1942 and was recommissioned in August. Suwannee began conversion also in February and was recommissioned in September. Shenango began conversion in March and was recommissioned in September. Santee began conversion in February and was recommissioned in August 1942. Each would weigh 11,400 tons at standard displacement. Overall length was 169 meters, beam at 35 meters, and draft at 9.8 meters. Propulsion was composed of 4 boilers and 2 steam turbines connected to 2 shafts, giving them 13,500 shaft horsepower. Speed was at 18 knots. Armament consisted of 2 5-inch 51 caliber guns, 8 Bofors 40mm guns, and 12 Oerlikon 20mm anti-aircraft guns. Later into the war, more Bofors and Oerlikons were added and the 5-inch guns were replaced with a 38 caliber dual-purpose variant. One hangar was placed on the hull and a pair of elevators were added. Each could carry from 25 to 32 aircraft, a mix of Air 4F Wildcats, SBD Dauntless dive bombers, and TBF Avengers. Radar was added and upgraded throughout the war. After trials, they took part in North Africa until mid-November 1942, when they went back for an overhaul and were transferred to the Pacific. Santee was held back in the Atlantic, where she would patrol in 1943. In mid-January 1943, they arrived in the Solomons and supported the campaign there. After another overhaul, they arrived back in October and supported the Gilbert's invasion in November. Then they took part in the invasion of the Marshall Islands at the start of 1944. On January 25th, a landing fighter missed the arresting wire and crashed into parked planes on board Sangamon. A massive fire broke out and after 2 hours it was put out. Temporary repairs were made and they continued to cover the invasion until the end of February, when they returned to Pearl Harbor for repairs. Mid-March, Santee joined them and these ships headed back to take part in finishing off the New Guinea campaign. Then came the support of the liberation of the Marianas in June and July. In mid-October, they joined Taffy 1 and supported the liberation of the Philippines and the Battle of Leyte Gulf. Their aircraft were diverted to help Taffy 3 in the Battle of Samar. At about 7:40 a.m., Taffy 1 was the first target of the kamikazes. Santee got hit by a kamikaze which exploded in her hangar. 15 minutes later, she was hit by a submarine torpedo that caused the 6-degree list. At 8:03, Suwannee was hit by a plane that blew a large hole on the flight deck. The next day, another plane hit Suwannee and started another large fire. They were sent back for repairs. In mid-March 1945, they returned and took part in the invasion of Okinawa. On April 9th, a landing fighter crashed on Shenango and started a large fire which was quickly put out. On June 4th, Sangamon got hit by a kamikaze that started massive fires and knocked out both elevators. She was sent back to the west coast and the repairs were deemed not worth. She was eventually scrapped. 15 years after the war, the other 3 were scrapped as well.